Now, as you probably know, Star Wars Celebration has kicked off and will be running through the weekend. So what I'll be doing is, as best I can, along with my wife, Sailor Naboo, I'll be covering every little bit of information I can, starting with the Andor trailer. And some videos will be on this channel. Others, maybe the lesser cool information will go on my other channel. And speaking of cool, getting right to it, the Andor trailer, very
I thought you were
impressive.
going to say I was cool.
No, I would never say that. But anyway, getting to it, the Andor trailer, from a series that I think a lot of people are overlooking, forgetting about, not caring about, who think, who cares about this character? He dies in Rogue One. Spoiler alert. Like, who cares? And then I gotta say it, I was pretty wowed by the trailer.
I was very wowed by the trailer. I'm Sailor Naboo, by the way.
Yeah, for those, like I said, we do videos pretty much daily on my other channel together. So with the weekend being busy, we're just going to mainly be doing off-the-cuff style videos and talking about all the news as it comes out. So if you want full coverage of Star Wars Celebration from us, to go ahead and subscribe to my other channel, or our other channel. Anyway, getting back to it, I mean, I think a lot of people, like I said, I think a lot of people are overlooking this, despite the fact that Rogue One is arguably the best, Star Wars movie in the Disney era. I think a lot of people feel. And this certainly had that same kind of Rogue One vibe to it, didn't it? This felt like kind of like a movie trailer, like a prequel to Rogue One trailer. It was impressive.
It was really good. I was wowed from start to finish. I was totally invested in asking questions and getting really into the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, kind of funny. Like the first image we're probably going to discuss here. It reminded me of the Star Wars Eclipse trailer when they were like have the the weird alien doing the drumming, and the first 10 seconds of this trailer, I'm like, what in the world is this? Mm-hmm. And I think it's clearly some kind of signal like, oh, the Empire is coming.
Well, you could tell other shopkeepers were like closing their windows up, banging on other things. They're trying to alert you that they're coming.
Yeah, and it's hard to. I mean, as all trailers are, some shots are taken. Everything is kind of out of context. Everything is not in any kind of linear fashion here, because it does feel like some shots are certainly from earlier, like maybe when Cassian is a child. I mean, in Rogue One, he does say, "I've been in the fight since I was 6 years old." So I'm kind of figuring we might see that, and this perhaps is a young Cassian here. Just a rough guess. I don't know. Maybe.
Right, on this planet that looks like it's not so technologically advanced.
Yeah, it looks kind of like kind of a more primitive planet. And then the Empire comes, probably have some resources to collect, and Cassian and his people are in the way.
Or at least a war was taking place overhead. I mean, the ship that was coming down looked like it was on fire.
That could be, too. I mean, this could be Clone Wars, because much later in the trailer, there is a shot of clone troopers firing at somebody. Yeah, somebody is holding some kind of, I don't know if somebody's going to throw at him, some kind of torch type thing. No idea what it might be, but it is clone troopers, Phase 3 clone troopers that he is confronting there.
What's interesting is that looks like, I mean, we saw in the trailer, we saw the gunships flying in, and they were Clone Wars gunships. So those early images with the banging on stuff might all be during the Clone Wars.
It could be. And I mean, Phase 2 clone troopers, not Phase 3. That's kind of stormtrooper armor, but...
Yes, yeah.
But I think the coolest part of the trailer, the part that I was most excited for, is Coruscant. I have been wanting to go back to Coruscant forever, and we have Mon Mothma at one point in the Senate building, but it's empty.
It does look like she's looking at an empty Senate chamber, like maybe the other senators have just started giving up.
Well, yeah, it could be, maybe she's in there kind of reminiscing about what used to be. For all we know, there could be a flashback ensuing of a time when it was full and, the Senate actually did something. It wasn't just kind of, Palpatine controlling the show, as we see in A New Hope.
Palpatine's playground.
Yeah, as we see in A New Hope, that is when the Senate gets disbanded, but I'm assuming it hasn't been, doing much. They even say, how is he going to maintain the bureaucracy without it? Basically, how is he going to, use these puppets? How is he going to manipulate the galaxy without his puppets in place? So, and then the regional governors, the Moffs, will be taking over, which is, Tarkin. So it is kind of interesting to get this shot. Maybe, I think this show is taking place, 5 years before Rogue One?
This is 5 years before Rogue One.
So, this is probably, we're definitely leading up to the time when the Senate is utterly, useless, I would say, that they've completely been...
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Tarkin or possibly even Leia in this show.
I think we'll see Leia. I think we're going to see Tarkin. I think we're going to see Krennic. I think...
Bail.
Yeah. I mean, they talked about, kind of going beyond the trailer for a second, they do talk about how this series is going to lead right into Rogue One. So I'm assuming Krennic, Tarkin, a lot of other things.
I think they even said like the final moments of the last episode for for the series will directly lead right into.
Which kind of does make sense because, I mean, when Rogue One starts, they're kind of figuring out, hey, there's this super weapon perhaps that the Empire has. And, we do see the movie opens up with Cassian obviously meeting an informant who is kind of injured, and he ends up shooting him in the back and just to get away. And so, it's it will be, I guess, interesting to see how we get to that moment, how they kind of begin to understand and unravel that there is some sort of super weapon that the Empire is constructing. So I guess that is, I guess that's cool. In a way, it's kind of anticlimactic because we do know exactly, and I know prequels always have that problem, but we know exactly where the show is kind of going to end.
Yeah, we know where they're headed to.
Yeah, but that does mean we should get K2SO in future seasons, right?
He's supposed to be starting out in season 2, is from what I remember hearing.
Yeah, not in season 1, which is really kind of disappointing.
Very.
We also know that the show begins August 31st. We got an actual release date for this.
Yeah, we did. We got that release date. Diego Luna even said during the panel, "You're not going to recognize Cassian in the show at first. He is very selfish." We also saw Death Troopers.
Yeah, Death Troopers was some new Imperial. I think she's probably ISB, because in white, usually that means ISB.
Oh, yeah.
Though Krennic also wore white and he wasn't ISB, but...
No, but I really love that we see the Death Troopers back. We got a nice pair of them there. I missed the variations in the troopers. And there's supposed to be a bunch of different trooper types.
We've heard that there's
going to
be Mud Troopers, another new... Of course, there's new type, but they've got action figures to sell. We also got Stellan Skarsgård in this as well. Pretty big role, apparently.
Yeah,
a new
some
rebel.
Grizzly rebel leader whose name I'm not going to pretend I can pronounce right now. Starts with an L.
Yeah.
And we have what looks to be maybe a prison, possibly on Coruscant. I don't know. It looks underground.
Yeah, it looks like in the lower levels of Coruscant, perhaps. Some kind of prison where everybody's dressed the same. I mean, we only get a kind of a brief look at that. And yeah, I mean, I'm just happy we're going to be... It looks like we're going to be on Coruscant quite a bit because Mon Mothma is supposed to be pretty important in this series. So we will be kind of seeing... the early days, well, maybe not so much the early days, but kind of how the rebellion is, working within the Empire and on Coruscant and through the Imperial Senate, which is obviously, as we've been discussing, a pretty useless body at this point. It doesn't have any power anymore. It's all Palpatine. But still going to be cool to see her kind of, maybe recruiting people. I'm sure Bail Organa will be in this as well, which, again, Leia more than likely in this too.
She could be, but that would be a recast.
That
something that...
Well, they said no more recasts. They're excluding the ones they've probably already done.
But it would be cool because Billy Lord could actually play her.
Well, she's kind of... Leia in this would only be like 15, so they would have to find someone much younger.
They'd manage it. Technology the way that it is, they'd be fine.
I don't know. They would have to kind of do some kind of younger recasting of
Plus,
Leia.
Billy Lord does look like
young. Sure, she does look like a young Carrie Fisher, but not that young of a Carrie Fisher. But yeah, I was highly, highly impressed with the trailer for this series that a lot of people have seemed to forgot is coming or just don't care about. I see it all the time. Every time I feel like I talk about this series, I get that, who cares about this series? And I don't know, maybe it's, I've kind of kept my fingers crossed and held out hope. And, Tony Gilroy is involved in this. He was involved in Rogue One. And I got to say, this looks really good. I
think so.
It looks like Rogue One expanded. It does look like a prequel to Rogue One. And the budget, it looks like they spared no expense, as some might say. Or at least I hope. For all we know, we're just seeing the best parts of it, right? And everything else is going to...
And I really like that it's 12 episodes. That we kind of get something we can come back to for more than 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be... it seems like they have a plan for multiple seasons and 12... This could be, the definitive show for this time period, right? The definitive kind of story of how the rebellion went from, just this ragtag group and these different cells to, kind of coalescing into, the formation of the actual Rebel Alliance we see in Rogue One, where they finally okay, we have all these different factions, but it's time to say we got to work together to win. So I'm assuming that's what this show is going to do. It's going to show these different factions eventually all coming together, and, well, we know who wins in the end, don't we? The First Order.
Well, what else is interesting is, you brought up the splinter cells kind of forming. We could see some Ghost Crew in live action. There's no reason that... we know Ahsoka was communicating with Rebel Command. You could even see a hologram of her just communicating. And
we know Cassian is a Fulcrum agent. We know Ahsoka in her book is the first Fulcrum agent, which has had parts of it kind of retconned or done away with, but only from the Siege of Mandalore. So,
and our boy Mutton Chops.
Yes. We could see an Agent Callus in here. We could see Agent Callus on the bad guy side still, technically.
Right.
And especially if that is an ISB officer, Callus, ISB. So certainly could see Callus in here.
That would be really interesting to see some cross between more of the shows.
Yeah, I mean, we already know we're going to get Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera shows up in Rebels. I mean, Mon Mothma shows up in Rebels. A lot of characters show up in Rebels. So I would see no reason why eventually we wouldn't get a lot of cameos from Rebels characters that they might not even be kind of part of the series later on.
Well, we know that the Ghost even made an appearance in Rogue One, so why wouldn't we see, even if it's just a hologram communication, giving Hera some orders for a mission that maybe we're familiar with from Rebels?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for crossover that's going to just make sense, too. Not just, well, let's try to shoehorn that in there. No, it makes sense because we've already seen the Ghost crew interacting with a lot of these characters. So yeah, I am... I was cautiously optimistic about this. The trailer looks good, so my cautious optimistic level has gone up another notch or two. And a couple months away, we'll be seeing if this is really as good as it looks here, right?
Let's hope.
All right, well, that's all we've got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about the Andor trailer. Is this gotten you more or less excited for this series? Has it reminded you it's coming? And again, if you want to check out any of our coverage, we will be doing a lot on both channels, so do head over there and subscribe to that channel as well. And so leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.